Welcome to episode 41 of Rail Talk. As I was just reminded, this is the 41st episode because all I know is this is the Dirty Derby 150 Kentucky Derby preview show. We're going to have several special guests on to have a little contest, Derby picking contest, and break down all 20 horses, I believe, at one point in the 150th Run for the Roses. John, what do you think?
Jonathan Green, general manager of DJ Stable. Joe, if you can't get excited about the industry this week with the Oaks, with the Derby, with Thurby, that I know you don't like, but I like using that term, which is the Thursday before the Kentucky Derby, there is a chock full of graded races to watch almost from time zone to time zone, cover to cover, all throughout this country. This is the best, arguably the best week of racing.
Why Thurby? Like, so why not 2B?
It could be if they race on Tuesdays. It could be, but it's
They
marketing.
do. They race tomorrow. Why not Webby?
Webby. Well, we have Webby running actually this weekend. So for Web Slinger, so that's why they couldn't use Webby. But Thurby's kind of growing on me. It's not in the beginning. I was like, does the guy have a lisp? I don't understand what he's talking about. A speech impediment. But Thurby is definitely it's growing on me, buddy. Just like my beard is growing back.
Yeah, like that was the quickest clean shaven face in the history of faces, I think.
In all the faces in all the world. Yeah. I'm telling you, I shaved yesterday afternoon, and already this is where we're at.
You were meant to have that beard, bro. Rail Talk is sponsored by Facing Tipton. It was a blast last week talking with Anna Seitz and Boyd Browning about the digital sales, about the physical sales, and just about what makes such a great auction house at Facing Tipton. And there was some big news, obviously, that we broke with Anna and Boyd about the flash sale that involves several of our sponsors and one of our best friends, Jon Green, Mensa. Mensa's flash sale was earlier today, and he sold for $740,000 to the esteemed Mr. Jon Stewart, who is buying up everything, it seems. John, can you just tell us a little bit about the experience of doing the Facing Flash sale?
Well, Joe, it was well thought out and well designed, the marketing plan from the get-go. Boyd and Anna from Facing Tipton just did an outstanding job of giving us a presentation of why they thought this horse in particular would work well. Mark Cassidy did a phenomenal job, our Hall of Fame trainer, by having the horse win first time out and entered him. We were, second choice, arguably the best horse in the race coming up on Thursday. And then our friends at TaylorMade just did an outstanding, over the top job when it came to marketing the horse, calling out people, pulling out all the stops, and literally with like 5 minutes left to go in the period of the bidding period, the horse was still below the reserve. And all of a sudden, like gangbusters, like what you're hoping to see your horse do down the stretch this weekend in Churchill. Boom, 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 boom. Kept going nip and tuck, nip and tuck, nip and tuck. Say that 3 times fast. And it went from like $400,000 all the way to $740,000. So again, I think that the horse was well sold. I think that Resolute did a phenomenal job of buying a already pre-made horse that's going to run in their colors this Thursday in the Kentucky Juvenile. The horse will stay with Mark Cassey. So again, Mark was rewarded for all of his hard work. And I think just across the board, you can't say enough about the parties that were involved, whether it's Mark Cassey, Facing Tipton, TaylorMade, Len Green. They all had a vision. We followed through on a great plan. And the results were, Joe, that I'm really pleased that we currently have the record for the highest price horse sold on a digital platform.
Well, now we're setting the record for the highest price of a horse sold talked about on a podcast. So we're breaking records all over the place here. And that record could not have been set without TaylorMade, who you mentioned before. TaylorMade obviously is they can adjust to any market situation, any auction situation. That's what makes them the best. Is it's not just yearling sales, even though that is typically what they're most known for because they're the leading consignor of pretty much every major yearling sale, including the Facing Tipton Saratoga sale. But they also have the marketing capabilities to sell horses digitally, online. They can do it all, and they can do it all for you and your horses at those summer yearling sales, at the fall yearling sales, at the horses of racing age sales. So hit them up at tailormadefarm.com, and they'll definitely take care of you as if you were the esteemed and the powerful Jon Green. You don't have to be a bigwig. You don't have to be hobnobbing it with the blue bloods of the industry, TaylorMade will take care of you just the same. If you got a horse to sell, they'll do everything right by you to get the best return possible. And in all seriousness, we're very, very happy for Jon and DJ Stable and Len Green for that great return for Mensa. And that leads me into our third sponsor, the Green Group, run, of course, and founded by our buddy Len Green. You can go to greenco.com to learn more about their services. They have 1,000 clients in the horse. It seems like you have 1,000 horses, but they have 1,000 clients in the horse business. They specialize in tax savings for horse owners. I get questions all the time at West Point about, how do I maximize the tax savings and the benefits of owning horses? And I say, I'm not smart enough to know, but I know the guy who is. And I give him Len's number and I tell them, you can call in at all hours of the night. He'll pick up the phone. He'll be happy to discuss horses and accounting because it's his passion. They're both his passions. And yeah, best of luck to DJ Stable this weekend in the Derby undercard, Oaks undercard races. We know you guys are going to have some action. And yeah, if you want to get a jump start on the 2025 tax season, hit him up, greenco.com. And Jon, what's the number?
732-634-5100.
That's the Green Group.
Mr. Green does my personal taxes, all of my husband, my syndicates. It's all about the girls' taxes. We do a lot at Fasig-Tipton with him, but also a lot personally with him. We had used several different accountants, and our syndicates had grown, and we had a lot of different partners, and they got pretty complicated, and it was stressful. And Mr. Green is so easy to work with, and he said, "Why aren't you using the Green Group?" And so we were like, that's a good point. So we thought it would probably be really beneficial to have an accountant living here in Kentucky, and we didn't realize they could live in New Jersey and it was no problem. So he's got a really good team. They're very good at communicating, and they're really good at, you get all the information to them. They get everything back to us that we need. One thing that's been really helpful for us is Len really gets the horse industry because he owns and breeds and sells and races horses, so he knows all the ins and outs of the racing world, but also how that pertains to the taxes. So that was a big reason we wanted to start using the Green Group, because with all that equine experience, it really helped us to know when we could save money and all the tricks that we could be doing that we probably weren't doing before. So it was a no-brainer to switch to the Green Group.
Wow, it took 40-something episodes, but we finally have a major crossover edition of Rail Talk. This is so exciting. We've got the Brunette Bonanza in the house. Talk a little derby. Yeah. Alexa Zepp, Ren Carothers, Rachel Miller, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, man, we're so excited to have you. We love your show. We know the vibe is very aligned, so we're excited for this. We're going to do a little derby contest in a little bit. But for those who don't know, the three of y'all host the Keeneland Weekend Kickoff Show live from the Hill at Keeneland. Alexa, why don't you start? Just tell us a little bit about the genesis of the show and just the way you guys have kind of hit it off on TV.
Yeah, so Dan Torchman's a good friend of mine, and obviously like the face, the man, the myth, the legend of America's Best Racing. So right. I was talking to him about wanting to have, some more live on-air experience, and I was like, Dan, can I have a live show? And he was like, sure, why not? Yeah, sure, go for it. And he was like, we can do it live from your house, like right here, like this. And I was like, yeah, what about live on site, on track at Keeneland? Because I just tend to dream big. And he was like, let me think on that. And then we were all out at NHC, and he walked over. He's like, we just got the green light for Keeneland.
You do a great impression of him, by the way. That sounds exactly spot on.
Excellent, Dad. Yep.
Yeah. So then, he really, obviously everybody played a huge role in making it happen, but he did kind of just hand a lot of it to me and say, here's your show, produce it how you want, do what you want with it. It's your final call on things. So that was really fun to just, make a show.
Nice.
Well, I'll toss it over to Rachel and then Ren. Like, what have you found so fun? Because it's a great atmosphere. Like, it's a great spot to be in at Keeneland. If nobody's ever been on the Hill, that's like where people tailgate, where a lot of college kids hang out. Like, Rachel, what's it been like on the set over at the Hill?
Oh my gosh. Well, for one of our Double Dog Dare segments, that Alexa was dared to call one of the college kids over to make it. And he ended up having a pretty solid selection, I think, of Hidden Connection, who got up for a second. But it's such a fun party atmosphere. And I feel like Keeneland especially is really good at catering their track and what they have access to for fans to the community. You know, Ren and Alexa are the best co-hosts. Alexa's a dear friend of mine, and so is Ren now too. I can tell you that after over every week, we did have like gossip sessions about other things. I think that helps to like the synergy and fun of our group dynamic, is that it goes beyond racing too.
That's a good summarization of the show. But if you want to check out more, it was a montage of some of your funniest and best moments from the Keeneland Weekend Kickoff Show. Hit it, Patty.
We're going to toast to you as we kick things off here.
Do I or do I not have a turvis full of burgoo?
I'm naturally eccentric.
Brunette Bonanza. See, this is difficult because I don't want to break a nail. Ooh. But I want to give you a good experience.
Oh.
That was juicy.
There was nothing.
Yo, we're going in the race now and feeling so fine. I really like the one named Raging Sea.
As Raging Sea will win the Baird Double Dog Dare Stakes.
I'm sorry. Is any other broadcast giving you this quality content?
No, that's why you tune in with us.
Exactly. Alexa having a day. Alexa.
What have I said? I'm amazing. I mean, but seriously, 12-1. Man,
Great call.
12 to freaking 1. And it
That
wasn't
was
even
amazing.
close.
No.
Can I just say we're not just pretty faces? We just gave you a 6-1 winner. We gave you an exacta.
Trifecta if the two got up.
Trifecta if the two got up.
You're welcome.
I mean, like, hello? Right?
We are the Brunette Bonanza who also gives you winners.
So this is going to be a shit show. I'm just putting that out there off the top because it's already a shit show when we do contests on this show and we don't really know the rules to start with. But we do have 5 very astute handicappers here. Well, 4 and Jon. And we're going to pick our top 4 horses for the Kentucky Derby. Kentucky Derby, we're recording this Monday, is a little less than 5 days away. It really snuck up on us. And we're going to get points for, it doesn't have to be in order. We're just going to pick our top 4 and an alternate. And we're going to get points for the horses that run first, second, third, or fourth. First place, you get a first place horse, you got 10 points. Second place, you get 7 points. Third place, you get 5. Fourth place, you get 3. And because this is a very vindictive show, if your horse runs last, -1. So,
All right.
You know, I'm a competitive spirit, so I gotta know what's on the line.
right. Well, we were going to wait until we got on air to talk about what the bet is.
Right.
But
We never got there. It's just for bragging rights.
Great quality is that she's super humble too when she wins. She definitely didn't burst from the knife eardrums in celebration.
Wow.
Oh my God.
amazing.
You know, that's the fun of it.
All right, you know what?
right?
Here, this is what we'll do. We'll throw this out there if you guys agree.
Oh,
The winner gets to name one of our yearlings.
Oh, fun.
Hang on.
That is the most creative. Yeah.
In accordance with the rules of the Jockey Club, of course.
You know, I had a name get thrown out once that really irked me because it was so cool. Hotwire. I really wanted Hotwire. And that hotwire.com, man.
Oh yeah, they're big.
They turned it down and I was like, but the horse didn't end up being very fast.
Big
So.
brother. Well, there you go. All right, so everyone's cool with the rules and the prize. We're good.
Oh my God.
I love it. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Okay.
I have to win now.
this is the benefit of buying 100 horses every year. Is Jon can just throw those names out like candy.
Exactly.
Like-
yes, because there's no value whatsoever in that.
That's going to be my
What was,
winning
the
bid.
name, what was the name on our show, Rachel, that you were like, if you haven't reserved that yet, reserve it now? Was it Brunette Bonanza?
It was Brunette Bonanza. I thought, no?
Do you remember saying that on one of the episodes?
If I do say that a lot, like in general, I could be having a conversation with a non-horse person. I'm like, reserve that name. I'm kind of obsessed with the weird horse names. In spearheading the ABR TikTok, one of the first like viral series that I did was unhinged horse names or Gen Z horse names. And so I have like a Google Doc that is probably like 500 names deep at this point. Of just low-key can't believe it got approved.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
What's your favorite like unhinged name that's been approved? Mine is No More Strippers. No More Strippers.
Remember that horse?
Yeah.
There's also the famous bodacious tatas. That is the
Every time I say no balls,
The size does matter.
Awkward. Every time. I feel like if there was a Brunette Bonanza, it needs to have some connection to Big Brown.
All right. So now that we sort of know how the contest works, and Jon is just tossing out horse names as he does. I was joking before. That's gonna be Jon's gift for my wedding, so he doesn't actually have to give me any
It's
money.
what you registered
like,
for.
"Here."
You registered for that, Joe.
You open the envelope. Horse name, yearling horse. It's all yours, guys. Enjoy it in good health. Anyway, so let's get to the picks. We're all going to pick our top 4 here. Hopefully, there's not too much overlap and a little budding rivalry here between the two shows. Alexa, it's all yours.
Okay. So my top 4. I am chalking out a little bit here. I like Sierra Leone. I think the horse is just a beast. Was it your interview or my interview, Ren, with Tyler? But where he was just like, I feel like I haven't even tapped into like 25% of this horse. Like the horse just has, that was your interview. Okay. Yeah. Like the horse just has so much more. And I just feel like he overcomes issues. Like, I don't know. Sierra Leone is, again, not like a super, groundbreaking selection, but I like Sierra Leone. I also like Just a Touch. I know not super experienced, but like neither was Mage, did really well in the Bluegrass with a really fast pace, because I do think this race is going to have a really fast pace. I know typically the Derby, goes to those early horses, but I don't know, like Timeform has Just a Touch setting the pace really and being right there. I don't know if I agree that he's going to be right on the lead, but I do think he'll be more forwardly placed with it, which I like. I like Track Phantom, which 20-1. Okay. I don't know if Track Phantom's going to win, but 20-1 is insane. I think that is crazy morning line odds on this horse. I mean, I feel like all the odds on these horses are going to be long because we have kind of these two big favorites, but, I really like Track Phantom getting up there. I do think Track Phantom will probably be in the lead. I don't know if that, the TO password horse, that horse, what do you guys think? Do you think that horse is going to be in the lead?
I don't know. I don't know if he's got this kind of speed that the American dirt horses have.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell, but I think that horse could be up there with Track Phantom. I worry about Dornoch being able to get to the lead from the one hole. I mean, we had such crazy draws, for these favorites, 1, 2, and 17. But my 4th pick is Fierceness, which I know it probably is. Do we have all the same picks, Joe?
No, you just have all the chalk.
Now that I'm fixing them.
Now that you're
can't
changing
do that.
So here's the thing. Fierceness probably would be on like the bottom of my try and super, which I know, Ren, like you're a big Fierceness fan. I just, I think
I don't think it needs it.
Fierceness gets the lead.
I don't. Absolutely don't.
I do. I think
he definitely needs it.
I do. You know what, Ren? I listened to what you said, and I went back and I watched the Holy Bowl so many times.
I disagree.
I call BS. There was no excuse in that race.
That was terrible. And
no,
not only was
yes, he got slammed. No, I don't care if the start was terrible. He got over it.
Hold on.
Race.
You're coming aggressive. You're coming aggressive.
The position he wanted.
I'm going to come aggressive.
No.
Can we?
I'm coming in hot.
Can we just agree that Hades was the best horse in the Holy Ball and just move on?
Don't make it about you. Don't interrupt his great content. Make it about you.
No, okay. Here's the thing. Yes, got slammed at the break, but got over it. Got the position he wanted, and he just turned up empty. He just turned up empty in that race. That is what I am sticking to. So for me, I feel like Fierceness is obviously if he gets the trip. Yeah, if he doesn't, I don't think he can overcome, issues. And this is the Derby with 20 horses. I mean, there's a good chance he'll have issues. So for me, that's why he's kind of like more on the bottom for me. But those are my 4. Are we doing the backup as well?
Yeah, do alternate just in case.
Okay, the alternate is the other Japanese horse, Forever Young.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, you bring up a good point, too, because, like, whatever happens with Fierceness, that's the crux of the race. He could either win by 10 or run last, and I don't think anybody would be surprised by either. But go ahead, defend your boy,
Well, as somebody who grew up on a horse farm and who grew up riding, who grew up doing all that stuff.
Oh, boy.
Oh, she
We got the
knows.
woman
Yeah.
bona
But when a
fide.
horse
Michigan
is
is
coming
known for
out,
their
and a
horse
horse is
farm.
an over 1,000-pound animal, and they're coming out of the gate, and they get slammed the way in which he got slammed. This wasn't just a light bump. This was a slam and a carry. He was still carried between horses for the first few strides out of the gate. And then on top of it, he hasn't run since November in the Breeders' Cup. That gives him all the legitimate excuse that I need. Now, the thing is, which I will agree with you on, is he is a horse that I do not think if something similar happens, it's going to be problematic. But I do still think he is the best horse in the race. I love that he drew outside of the other speed. I think it's going to be very beneficial for him to start from post 17, get out there. He's got plenty of time. He is not a need the lead type. He's come from sitting off before, as he did in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I think he just needs to sit tight, stay out of trouble, which is what he will do. And he's got plenty of pedigree to go the mile and quarter distance. So I'm not even.
So you don't believe in the 17 curse?
I think the whole like post position stuff is bunk, because you have to take into consideration so many different variables. Like, for example, how many times in any given post has there been a horse who was 5-1 or under? I mean, there's too many other factors that go into a good or not good post position based upon the statistics that they give you. But as far, again, as the pedigree goes, I mean, like, my gosh, you're looking at a horse here who was actually, homebred for Micropoli. So I kind of love that for him, because it makes it extra special, I'm sure. And so by City of Light, we know what City of Light did, winning the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, the Pegasus World Cup. Stay Thirsty is the broodmare sire. He won the Travers, as did his own sire, Bernardini. Bernardini is by AP Indy, won the Belmont, the Classic, the Granny. Oh, by the way, the mom's half sister to Outwork. Should mention that one, the Wood Memorial. The Granny Nona Mia, Empire Maker. That is stamina all day long right there. She's also a 3/4 sister to Cairo Prince. Not only did he have the bad start in the Holy Bull, he had a bad start in the Champagne. I take those two races out. He's the top pick. Next horse, yes, Sierra Leone. I know I'm like chalking in the top two positions, but to Alexa's point, he does overcome adversity. He is going to come with a run. He has a little bit of a wonky action, but I think it works for him. He's got a little bit of an egg beater situation going on. But again, some people think might be why he's a little erratic and stretched. I don't think that's so much it. I think he just has so much impulsion from the hindquarters that it just throws him forward. And so he gets really into his races because of that. It's going to be a lot different to come back from where he likes to come back from what he's done so far versus a 20-horse field. But I think he's a big enough and talented horse to do that. And Gaff Leon did say that he hasn't even cranked him up all the way. I then went with Catching Freedom. Watch the Louisiana Derby. If you want a closer, because I do think we're going to have a fast pace. I do think it's going to set up for a horse like this. He came so wide around the turn for home, and then he took some bumping action from the horse to his inside, and then he kicked on, and he didn't even get to change his lead right away because of that bumping that had happened. And once he did, my gosh, the acceleration on that horse was so impressive. So
Catching Freedom's underrated. I will agree with
Catching
you on that.
Freedom, I think, and like you're by Constitution, that's another really hot sire line. That's another AP Indy line sire. So I like him a lot. Then I went with Honor Marie. He's another horse that has really good closing kick. He's already got the win over the surface. And when you look back at, let me see here, Honor Marie, when he came back in the Risen Star, this was a horse who needed a race. Not only had he not run since November, but the track was sloppy sealed. And then he came back in the Louisiana Derby, and he ran really well. He get beat just a length there by Catching Freedom. And again, he's already got a win over the Churchill track. And I think he's got plenty enough pedigree, obviously being by honor code, to get the mile and quarter. So I am not worried about it from that perspective either. And then the alternate, I vacillated. I went between Forever Young. I kind of think I kind of think Domestic Product's a little bit of a grinder. His figures, he'd have to improve like significantly, but I could see him sort of grinding his way into, the top 4 or 5. And also Mystic Dan. That is Matt's horse. Matt is all like, you tell them Mystic Dan's going to win the Kentucky Derby. All right. So, I mean, I could see any of those horses. I did ultimately land on the Japanese horse, Forever Young. He's done nothing wrong so far. You could make the argument, well, who has he beaten? You know, comparison. Bookham Dano's a very nice horse, sprinter, but a very nice horse here from stateside. So we'll see what he can do. But the interesting thing is, and we've talked about this on our show before as well, Forever Young and Sierra Leone, they're out of 3/4 sisters. So that's a fun little tidbit there. And then, you know, I just like stuff like that.
I just like things.
Okay.
No, that was a great explanation. That's why we love having you on as the pet geek. Yeah, I mean, can't argue with much of what you said.
Another fun fact?
I'm kind of with Matt.
Grandmo the First,
yes.
His mom, and Leslie Rose's mom, Leslie's Roses in the Oaks, they're half sisters.
You gotta hit that double now.
That's right.
$5, it'll pay like $1,000 bucks. So that's natural. Yeah. No, well stated. Rachel, let's toss it over to you.
And yeah, that's always fun to listen to Ren. I feel like she just like taps like a third eye superpower and just like astral projects into the category.
That was great. You get a bonus point just for that reference.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
From the top, make it drop.
We should start saying that instead of 3, 2, 1. That's way better, way catchier.
Thank you. I got that line from Cardi B.
Great philosopher.
Great philosopher, Cardi B. No wop in here.
Right, exactly.
In making my Derby selections, although I do love to be different, in this case with naming rights on the line that are highly valuable, highly sought after, and never given away for free, as it has been made clear, I want to be right. I want to win. And so to win, I'm going to have to side with the majority. The 2-hole Sierra Leone, watching him in the Bluegrass Stakes, he was a fractious fella, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays into the Kentucky Derby. Is he going to be schooled a lot ahead of that race and, you know, ready to go? Because when there's 19 other horses that are loaded in and ready to run for the roses, the last thing you want to do is delay the game by waiting for this horse to go in. And like the crowd at Keeneland is one thing, but the crowd at Churchill is a whole new level. So while they can school him in the mornings and prepare him, hopefully he makes it fully into the gate. And I think once he does, he's going to be in the money. So Sierra Leone. Then the 6 horse, Just Steel. I think that I'm the first one to say this today, but he has the most experience of any horse in the field with 11 starts and then a great storyline with Keith Asmussen and the Irons, which is pretty freaking cool. And Dwayne Lucas, the coach, you know, this is his boy back for the first time since 2018. So that's not to be overlooked. And lastly, all 4 of his starts in 2024 have been around 2 turns, which again is more than what can be said for the other horses in this field, majority of them. On to the 3rd pick, 15, Domestic Product. Again, I don't think that this horse is a win candidate for me, but I like using him in a super. I think that the best that he's going to get is maybe 4th or 5th, but with the combo of Irad Ortiz and Chad Brown, I think that this is a horse that is getting overlooked a little bit. So I'll be very interested to see how he shows up next weekend. And then 4th and finally, again, and with the majority, Fierceness, even though he's coming out of that 17 hole that has been winless in 149 years or however many times, there have been at least 17 horses coming out of the gates. I think that if coming into the final stretch, as long as he is in the front, in control, in a good position, it could be his to win and run away with. But if he gets caught up in traffic at all, at that stage of the game, I don't see it materializing. But I'm going to hope that he could, break the 17 curse. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Yeah.
And then as for the alternate wild card pick, I kind of had narrowed it down to 2, but I'm going to end up going with the 18 horse Stronghold, who's the only one representing from California with a certain trainer, not competing this year. But I do think that he's really consistent, that he, has fought hard-earned wins in places. I think that he's 3 firsts, 3 seconds out of 6 starts. So that's my wild card California pick.
I have stat for you. So, yeah, well, fun fact. Okay, well, here's the stat for you, because you were just saying about, post position and how many times the horses. So we actually had the starting gate first introduced for the Kentucky Derby in 1930. So they didn't even have the gate up until then. But as far as post 17, it has had 44 starters in the 140. Well, some years or whatever. We didn't have a starting gate. So do the math there. In any case, it's had 44 starters. We've not had a winner yet, but we had a runner-up, and we've had 2 third-place finishes. The best finish was 49er running second in 1988. And that would be the winning colors.
0 for 44 is a pretty big sample size.
How many times in 44 starts? No, but honestly, this is what you have to factor into it. In 44 starts, how many times did you have a short-priced horse? Now, 49er, he would have been a short-priced horse, and he ran second. But also, remember, they had the auxiliary gate then as well. And so this is how many years? I mean, this is the second year that we've had the full gate.
Yeah,
Yes.
the big boy.
That's a big difference, because the auxiliary gate, if you were on the outside of the regular gate or the inside of the auxiliary gate,
Yep,
bang right into each other. So this is definitely a different dynamic.
I mean, when you're thinking of it, I mean, my gosh, okay, so post 18, 36 starts, 2 wins, 4 runner-up finishes. You're going 1 stall over. Does it really matter? I don't think it does. I think it comes down to what particular horse happens to be in that particular stall with what particular running style, ultimately.
Tis the law.
That was in September.
It's gonna drive me crazy.
That was September. So it was also a bit of a different animal, because you were later in the year with the development of the 3-year-olds.
Tisdale had COVID. That's why he didn't run that well like that. No, I mean, it's a good point. There haven't been that many fiercenesses that have broken from the 17 hole, but fierceness is also not 49er. John, what do you want to say?
Guys, I'm going to shift mine up a little bit. I know originally I had picked Sierra Leone as my top pick, but since everyone else picked him, I'm going to pick him as my alternate at the end. So if he draws in based on my picks, so be it. But I'm going to go with a couple of them that are a little bit different, a little off the beaten path. Honor Marie, I believe that somebody else picked him. Ren picked him, later on in her pool. But I really like the fact that a horse like this is going to be running in the Derby. It's a great story. He was a modestly bred horse, modestly purchased for $40,000. So much so that he actually broke his maiden in an auction maiden race at Churchill, and then went and finished second in an allowance race, and then of course won the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club Stake in November, Thanksgiving weekend, also at Churchill Downs. So he's got a lot going for him. It's a great story. It's a Disney-esque kind of story. He's won here at Churchill Downs. Yes, his rider is a little bit inexperienced at this level. The trainer, you could say, is a little bit inexperienced, but in reality, Whit Beckman worked for Chad Brown, worked for Todd Pletcher, worked for Owen Hardy, and, oh, by the way, also spent 2 stints over in Saudi Arabia. So he definitely knows what he's doing, albeit first time on this stage. But I think that the horse is sneaky good and is a late May foal. So he's not even, 3 years old technically on the, by calendar. So it'll be interesting to see if he continues to improve and develop. But I have Honor Marie first, right next to him, just a touch. I know that horse is precocious, has tactical speed. He's bred to run long, Justify out of a Tappet mare. He's got a great trainer in Brad Cox. And the other thing that I think is interesting with him is that he's improved a lot every single race. He's only run 3 times. Technically, he's an A other than, but there have been a lot of horses, especially of late, that have run well in the Derby. Mage, for example, was an A other than when he won the Derby. So there's history that shows that you don't have to be heavily raced in order to be the best horse the first Saturday in May. Follow that up with some horses on the almost extreme outside. I have the 18. Yes, I've passed Fierceness and gone even further outside. The 18, Stronghold, who is 20-1 in your program, but I think is going to be coming on at the end. A Ghost Zapper, knows no distance barriers. He's going to be able to run, far and long. And I don't think being on the outside is necessarily detrimental to him. 6 starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds. And the thing that I like so much about Stronghold is if you watch his races, he is like a bull. He makes his own lane when he's passing horses. He doesn't wait for the C's to open and runs through. He bullies his way through and gives himself a chance to win. And I just think that's going to be important when you have to do that against 18 or 19 other horses in the race. He's going to have to weave through some traffic, and having the ability to kind of push through physically is a really good attribute to have. One thing I don't like about him is you got to question what he beat out in California. He did, run some races out west. You question how good were those fields, but coming into this race, I really feel like that this son of Ghost Zapper is going to do well. That leads me to one more horse on the outside, Resilience, who I really want to see hit the board and if not win, if for no other reason, because he ran in New York and won. Bill Mott is the trainer. Junior Alvarado, I think, is one of the least respected of the top jockeys that are out there. So I think he's going to be very thrilled to take over for Johnny Velasquez in the irons for Resilience. And Joe, you've mentioned this before, and I'm a big believer in this now. When a horse has a change of equipment, whether it's blinkers on, blinkers off, change of shoes, Lasix, what have you, when he improves dramatically from that change of equipment, the second time around, you think it's only going to help him that much more. And that's what Resilience did when he went from finishing 4th in the Risen Star to winning the Wood Memorial in a hand ride with the blinkers on. I really feel like Resilience is going to be able to overcome that way outside post. And then I mentioned before, we're going to have Sierra Leone as my alternative in case one of those other 4 horses gets scratched. So, Julia, we got the 7, 8, 18, 19 with the 2 as my also eligible. That is my box for the contest.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm against Fierceness. That's my general stance on this race. I just don't think, your horse is going to be 5-2, 2-1. He's proven twice that when he doesn't have a perfect trip, he packs it in for the day. I don't want that as the Derby favorite. I want a horse who can overcome something and still be able to win. So between the 2 favorites, I lean towards Sierra Leone because he has had to navigate. He was against the bias in the Remsen, still almost won. He was on that miserable, sloppy track in the Risen Star, still got up and won. And obviously it's not easy coming from way back on a typically pretty speed favored main track at Keeneland when he won the Bluegrass. So of the 2 favorites, I'm gonna take Sierra Leone. But the other 3 I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna start with Just a Touch. John knows I was all over Just a Touch in the Bluegrass. I felt like a pretty tough beat because he was tracking a fast pace and ran his eyeballs out and just got overhauled late by a horse that had significantly more seasoning than him. He's run 3 races, so you might say he's a little too lightly raced, but I just love his progression. He had that 4 1/4 length win first out, sloppy track, 6 furlongs. Steps up to a mile, also a miserable track in the Gotham, shipped up to Aqueduct, ran great, was a good second to Deterministic that day, while I think doing a little bit more of the dirty work early on in that race. And he did most of the dirty work in the Bluegrass and still hung in there pretty well. He's by Justify out of a Tappet mare, so you got to think more distance is not going to be trouble for him. Obviously, the main impediment potentially is experience. There are several more experienced horses in here, but in general, I want the horse that I think is peaking at the right time going into the Derby, and he's one of those horses for me. So I'll take Just a Touch on top. I'm with you on Resilience, John. I just think this is a typical Bill Mott type of horse that just gets a little bit better and better and better, and then the big day shows up. He reminds me a little bit of Country House. He's a little bit more, I guess, a little more accomplished than Country House because he won the Wood Memorial, but he's got that similar outside draw. I'm with you on Junior. Like, to me, he's one of the most underrated riders in the game. He's got enough tactical speed to lay close if the pace is slow, but he can also drop back and make one run. So that versatility is something I look forward to in a race like the Derby, because you got to know that you got to be able to adjust to different scenarios. So those are my first 2. Third one, I don't think anybody said this, but I heard her little birdie gave me a pedigree note on this horse, Encino. I think Encino is really interesting. You know, Ren was talking earlier about the Nyquist AP Indy Cross that's been really successful. Again, I just like the progression. 65 buyer, 68 buyer, 89, 94. And he was very, very gutsy in that Lexington. Turning for home, I thought he basically had no shot. I thought the wine steward, who had a great trip, was just going to blow him away. Just kept digging, just kept finding. And again, like Just a Touch, the other Brad Cox horse, I think that they're, peaking at the right time. So those are my top three. And then the fourth, I'll go with Honor Marie. I don't think he's a win candidate. I think he's going to have a little bit too much to do, like Sierra Leone, but he showed up in every single race, and he's the type of horse that I don't, this is one of the things, and you guys can chime in on this if you want, but I think in the Derby, like, you're just looking for horses who are not going to be quitting in the last eighth of a quarter of a mile, because these are horses that are stretching out, doing something that they've never done before. You don't have to be flying home to get in the try or the super. You just got to be finishing faster than the horses that have no business going 10 furlongs. And I think Honor Marie is one of those horses that is going to be coming and is going to pick up the pieces when a lot of other horses are like, meh, not for me. So I'm going to take Just a Touch on top. Then I'm going to take Resilience. Then I'm going to go with Encino and Honor Marie. And like John, with the alternate pick, I will go with Sierra Leone just because I trust him more of the two favorites in the Derby.
And I like how you were talking about with Just a Touch, how has handled those sloppy tracks. And right now, I mean, again, this is Monday, we're recording this, but right now it does have 50% chance of precipitation kind of throughout the day. So there's a likelihood, and just with history repeats itself, there's a likelihood of having moisture in the track too. So, looking at who has and hasn't handled that, I mean, a lot of them haven't ever, faced anything but a fast track. So
I also think, Ren was saying this before, that Matt likes Mystic Dan.
Yeah, I
if
think
there
he
is a
moves up
sloppy
in the
track
grain for sure.
Right. If there is a sloppy track, like I said this on the show earlier, like, I don't think there was a better Derby prep than his race when the track was wet. Like,
That's
that
what
was
Matt says.
incredibly
Yeah.
impressive.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So if we do get rain, I think he's one to throw in there.
I really thought about You know what? Like, my alternate, you guys just like monitor it. If it turns out that we do have rain, make him my alternate, like Bump Forever Young.
Do you want an alternate?
An alternate, the off-track alternate, yeah.
Oh, well, this is all too familiar. Ren was trying to break the rules when we were doing Kentucky Derby trivia too.
You cheated.
I spit out an answer that was correct. And I gave extra information on top before all the possible answers were read.
Okay, spill the tea, Rachel.
I
what
jumped
happened?
the buzzer or whatever.
Yeah, she did. I asked, hey, I can ask you guys now too.
Go.
Which rapper owned a piece of a Kentucky Derby horse?
Can I buzz in?
Megan Thee Stallion, MC Hammer, or Snoop Dogg?
It's MC Hammer.
Okay. And what was it?
Can't touch this.
See that? That's what I said.
Oh my God. You guys are little twinsies.
Right.
Before you wrap up, I will say, like, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit just to say this. No horse has no shot in this race based upon what we've seen.
I hope they all have fun. That's what I hope for.
Isn't that nuts? That's the craziest part of it.
Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of the Derby. And I tell everyone that's not familiar with them, like, just pick a name, root them on, because honestly, all of us talking like we know or can predict what's going to happen. There's no other race where there's 20 horses, 3-year-olds at that, all vying for the glory in front of that many fans. There's so many elements. I will say a lot of people are, John, Joe, you guys both mentioned Resilience. And this is a horse that I like paused on, and I was like, day of, I'm going to have to bet that horse just because of the name.
Yeah, right.
Side story. Years ago when I first moved to Kentucky and was getting involved in the industry, I made it to the final stages of the Godolphin Flying Start program where you had to show up in person and do these interviews. And they gave you a subject before you even show up to like put a presentation together on. And they give you, I thought that they gave everyone just one word to build a presentation off of. And the word that they gave me was resilience, building resilience. And I show up everyone else's presentations are like women in the industry, a history of Godolphin farms, how farms work in Australia. And I was like, and they gave me resilience. They were literally telling me like, hey girl, it's not going to be you. Like, take notes on how to bounce back. And so as I was watching the presentation, I was like, son of a bitch. Well, okay. But needless to say, I slayed it. They told me the one thing that I like crushed was my presentation. So, and look at me now.
Yes, that's right.
Podcasting with the greatest people in the world. Probably going to win the ability to name a horse. Opportunities that other people can only dream of.
That's right.
Resilience.
Well earned. And by the way, I like Fractious Fella. If you do win.
Fractious
That's
Fella.
what you said about Sierra Leone.
Oh, yeah.
Sierra Leone.
I was like, did I miss a horse when you just said that?
Like, they say they live up to their names, though. So, sorry to give you a dud.
Okie smoky. All right. We promised you a lot of fun. We promised you a shit show, and we delivered in spades on both accounts. Alexa Zepp, Ren Carothers, Rachel Miller, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insights with us. Let's do it again real soon.
Love it. Thanks for having us.
I'm sorry, that sounded weird at the end there.
What? Which part?
Was I supposed to respond to that?
I didn't know.
Somebody should have said something.
It's just my dumb brain. I'm sorry. I have a juvenile sense of humor. I'm sorry. Like, never mind. I won't say. I think it's because he talked about that and then went into the end and like, I'm sorry. Like,
okay, we'll do it again.
No, wait. Let me just stress, because the word insights sounds like insides a little bit.
Okay.
We would have been friends in middle school.
Yeah.
She's typing boob 8008 on the calculator. 80085.
Okay, you want me to do it again?
Never mind. Just say how you like.
Okay, so we promised fun and we promised a shit show, and we delivered both in spades. Thank you to our fabulous guests for coming through and sharing their knowledge and perspectives. Alexa Zepp, Ren Carothers, and Rachel Miller. Check them out on the Keeneland Weekend Kickoff Show. Thanks, guys, for coming on.
Thanks for
having us. Total blast. Can't wait to name the horse.
It's on. I'm popping all the knuckles. We're ready to throw down.
Ooh,
but needless to say, this has been a blast. Brunette Bonanza times 5 now.
That's right.
Oh my God, we are all brunettes. I didn't even think about that.
Next time we'll bring the beard. Good job.
All right, so that's going to do it for the special Derby 150 edition of Rail Talk. We had a lot of fun. Thank you to Rachel Miller, Alexa Zepp, and Ren Carothers for stopping by and giving us their perspectives and knowledge on Derby 150. Thank you as well to Jon Green, our producer Patty Wolf, and our associate producers Nathan Wilkinson and Julia Agresta. Shout out to the sponsors, Facey Tipton, the Green Group, and TaylorMade as always. And thanks to you, the viewers and the listeners, for tuning in. Enjoy the heck out of Derby 150.